Do you wonder why your relationships start out with all the stars aligning, but then at some point your man turns into your last partner? Do you keep putting on love blinders in the honeymoon phase, making excuses and dismissing the warning signs that pop up? Do you find that similar disappointing feelings from past relationships start to creep back in and make you realize that you have unmet needs that used to feel fulfilled? Do you feel predictably let down and sad at some point in every relationship because they've gotten too comfortable? Do you often wonder, what am I doing wrong that my partner no longer does the things they used to do when we first fell in love? Do you find yourself comparing your current partner to your ex and seeing a lot of similarities in the issues you've been having in your relationship? Or do you find yourself attracted to toxic guys who do the things that you know aren't necessarily healthy but feel appealing at first? If any of this is happening to you, you are the reason that I made this episode. Hi, my name is Christine, and this is the X Life Podcast, where we talk all things love, friendship, health, fun, and personal growth, because life is too short to be unhappy. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of how to stop dating the same guy in a different body, just know this is a common problem. You are not alone. First, no relationship is ever a waste of time, because you can learn a lot about who you are and aren't, what you want and don't, and what you need and value in a partner. Collecting the lessons and blessings from those relationships does not just happen, though. You need to take the time to do it. Otherwise, like the title of this video says, you'll just keep finding the same guy in a different body over and over again, instead of the answers you need in order to break this pattern. Typically, we tend to look for answers outside of ourselves. Specifically, we look at the other person, we look at their faults, what they did wrong as to why the relationships didn't work. When what's actually significant is to pick up the mirror and look inside ourselves. Get to know yourself, and you've already started that process if you've watched the Do This Before Dating Again episode. After all, every relationship starts with you, and you really can't help someone else understand you if you haven't taken the time to become self-aware. What's important to you? What needs haven't been met in the past? So before we look at the future and building a future that you want, we need to reflect on some of the deeper reasons that might have you stuck. Examples could include low self-worth, rebellion, lack of acceptance, need for validation, lower expectations, and healthy versus unhealthy behaviors. It might even be worth digging in further with a professional. From my personal experience, I thought I had done all the work. And then I started working with a professional, and we uncovered some deep wounds that really helped me to realize what things were holding me back and what lessons I needed to learn. By really digging in, that work freed me in so many ways. There was a time when I didn't think I deserved a good guy or to be treated well. I allowed myself to take the pittance I was given and accept the excuses I was hearing. I'd even talked to myself into believing that it was safer for my heart to only entertain relationships that I knew weren't going to work, because I wouldn't get hurt, right? Wrong. It's always hard to shine the focus back on ourselves, since at least my first reaction was to defend myself. But I learned that by asking myself different questions and looking at situations from a different perspective, I was able to change how I interpreted them and the stories I was telling myself. To catch you up, in the event you haven't watched the last Do This Before Dating Again video, we introduced the idea of cleaning out your relationship closet. Simply put, imagine the process you go through in cleaning out your actual closet so you can fit in all the new shiny stuff. As all organizers preach, the most important step is the edit, or the going through of all the stuff to figure out what's worth keeping and what needs to be given away or trashed. Now, going through all the things you've taken out of your closet also means looking at the skeletons that you've had buried in the back. Have you actually slowed down and taken the time to reflect on the lessons and blessings from your past relationships? This will really help you to avoid unknowingly torpedoing a new relationship because you've already unpacked the baggage from the old ones. I've definitely carried my fair share of luggage into a new relationship, not even thinking of how much it was weighing me down and keeping me stuck in the past. It was so easy to assume I've been here before, and therefore my assumptions sometimes were their own form of sabotage. Unpacking your baggage allows you to get clarity on your boundaries, deal breakers, and compromises moving forward. This clarity will then help you identify the red and green flags that are going to pop up as you start any new romantic involvement, even the casual ones. After all, you don't want to get rid of the old tired wardrobe only to replace it with the exact same things that didn't quite fit right in the first place, right? So by going through the questions that we're now going to cover in order to clean out your relationship closet, we're really going to set you up. Because as I've mentioned earlier, every relationship really does start with you. If you want to find a good match, be a good partner, and create a healthy and positive relationship, you need to be able to know and understand who you are so that you can be in a relationship with yourself first. In order to be able to do that, the following questions are all about you. The answers will allow you to know and be able to clearly express who you are, what you want, and what you're looking for so that you can actually recognize it when you see it and when you don't. In other words, you'll know when to swipe left or swipe right. And let me just mention that if none of the examples we've talked about really sound like you, but if you keep dating the same wrong guy, keep going and work through the future focus questions that we're running through next, because when you're clear about those answers, you'll know whether a relationship is right for you or if there are issues that really need your attention. And that is what's going to help you. Because if it's something that's been in your blind spot, you're just going to keep repeating the same behaviors and patterns. The more that you understand yourself, the clearer things will become to you, and you'll finally be able to confidently remove the love blinders. So here we go. What is your communication style? And how would you recognize it when it matches well with your partner? All right, check this out. This should help you in case you're not clear of what I'm talking about. How do you express your feelings, values, and boundaries? What is your conflict style? And how would you like your partner to handle conflict or feeling hurt? How open are you to discussing difficult topics? For example, politics, which is a very heated topic right now. How do you like to spend and save money? Is planning for the future important to you? Or are you a live in the moment person? Do you prefer combining finances or keeping them separate? How important is personal growth to you? Do you embrace change and like to learn new things? Or do you prefer comfort and routine? How important is physical health and wellness to you? What is your love language? And how would you recognize it when giving and receiving it? What are your expectations for affection, intimacy, and how do you personally define that? How high touch or low touch are you in terms of time together versus time alone? How social or private do you prefer to be? How do you relax and recharge? Are you an introvert or an extrovert, or maybe a combination of both? What is your desired level of independence? How significant is family to you? And what role will they play in influencing your decisions and your relationship? Where do you stand on spirituality, faith practices, and raising kids? How important is spiritual alignment to you? These questions are also a great way to get to know a new person. You can make it really fun by asking questions in a casual way, like, hey, have you ever heard of the love languages? Now, when I was dating my husband, I remember I was reading a book about love languages, and I think it's by Gary Chapman. And I decided to quiz my husband. Well, back then he wasn't my husband, but I decided to quiz him. And it was really cool to kind of, think of, see things that you had in common and see other areas that were kind of surprising. And anyone that's really meant for you is going to find it fun getting to know more about you and even more about themselves. You could also ask them, what they see for themselves in the future. How do they handle money? When you're looking at these questions, think of how your prior relationships lined up with your answers. More likely than not, the things that didn't work in your relationship were things that you felt strongly about. And that tells you what you really want and need in a future relationship, as well as your boundaries, deal breakers, and things that you actually will compromise on. And since you now know what you want and need, you can now observe your new person's communication style, love language, and what makes them happy or unhappy. Are there any triggers? How do they handle a heated discussion? Are they willing to talk about it? Are you meeting resistance with the things that you value? Is this a deal breaker for you? And is the person receptive to having a conversation? Are you willing to compromise or be okay with expectation not fully being met? The answers inform you as to your red and green flags. To clarify, red flags are things that pop up in a new relationship that are completely against what you want and what you're looking for in the future. And there are clear deal breakers, things you will not compromise on. There could also briefly be yellow flags, which are kind of a caution. Things that you're not sure on. They definitely don't quite fit in the red and green. And you maybe have to give them more time and decide if you're willing to let go of something that you wanted for your future or compromise, at least for a period of time. And is your person willing to discuss further so that you can gain clarity as to whether it's actually going to turn into a red or a green flag? You may even want to watch the episode, Should I Stay or Should I Go?, where we talked more in depth about compromises and whether they are actually deal breakers. Green flags are when a relationship is an expression or a living out of the future that you've envisioned for yourself. It's evident that you and your person are aligning with your needs and wants. So you could even write up a list of your red and green flags without even dating someone, based on what you've learned about yourself. This list would then activate your conscious mind to recognize signs when you are in a new relationship. Let me give you some personal examples of these flags. So for me, lying and sneaking around is a red flag completely. Now, I'm not really referring to someone kind of telling you white lies because they're trying to surprise you with something or do something special, like buying a gift. They don't want you to know what they're doing. That's one thing. But when they are being deceitful and you're catching them in lies for no particular reason, that's a red flag. And trust is very important to me. Now, a yellow flag, everyone's going to fall differently on a scale of this, but cheating is something that could be a yellow flag for you. So, for example, you're getting to know a new person and you ask the question, have you ever cheated on a partner? And they say, well, yeah, 20 years ago when I was really young. Okay, I would accept that. I would be fine. But if it was something more recent or a common issue with this person and they kind of laugh it off, that would probably turn into a red flag for me. And then a green flag is something like, say, your love language is acts of service, and they're doing all the things, helping you around the house, taking care of getting your car serviced for you. That's a green flag for sure. So you're basically trying to match up what you've uncovered about yourself with what you've learned and gained from your prior relationships, along with the red and green flags that pop up. Then think, are we a good fit? And is this a supportive environment for both of us? Are you bringing something to and not detracting from each other's lives? Are you feeling your light growing brighter or dimmer? And have you noticed your person changing and exhibiting behaviors and characteristics that show you that maybe they're really not in a good place and they're not ready to be able to give you what you need for a healthy and happy relationship? Combined, these will inform you as to whether a relationship is something you want to keep or something you want to say goodbye to. So, by the way, what I just shared with you is the Compass system. And it's basically a program that I use with clients to help them as they're going through a divorce or a breakup and helping them to rebuild their new single life. The Compass system is basically a GPS for navigating a new relationship by gathering the lessons and blessings from what you've gone through already. So check it out. Hopefully, a glimpse into this system and all of the questions posed here will help you to get some clarity and clean out your relationship closet so that when you're ready, you can add in a relationship that brings that extra sparkle and a smile to your face because it's everything you've always wanted and needed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. I'll see you next time on the X Life podcast, where we leave behind your X life for your next life.